So, this bit is the scutcher here. So this spiked beater that we've got there, and when it gets going, it's spinning round about 750 times a minute. And what it's doing is just beating all the dirt out of the cotton. Because the cotton's come from a field, it's got dirt, soil, dead insects in there, lots of stuff we don't want. So it beats it all out, so you end up on the floor with some cotton that looks a little bit like this. Bit grubby, not very nice. We don't want to make our clothes out of that, but we don't want to waste anything. So, someone would buy this, and a lot of words and phrases that we use today come from the cotton industry. I've got some in my eye actually. This is called trash, which is what's in my eye. And that's where we get the word trash from. When one man's trash is another man's treasure, a trash merchant would buy this and use it for stuffing things like furniture and mattresses, because you can't see how bad the quality of cotton is inside those things. So they use every little last bit to make as much money as possible. The bit that's carried on within the factory is the clean bit that's coming off at the front. It's like a big roll of cotton, like a big roll of carpet. A man, because they thought they were much stronger, lifts that up and carries it onto the next machine, which is in a different room. Now, we said that we'll run the machines for you. Unfortunately, we can't always run them all because they're broken sometimes or something wrong with them, and we're working out how to fix them because they're so old. This one is working, but we don't run it because it is too dangerous to run whilst there are people in the room with it. As that is spinning round, beating dirty cotton down to the ground, it's also beating clean cotton up into the air. And the men that were working with this machine, they nicknamed the room the Devil's Hole because it was like working in a blizzard. It was so hot, so full of cotton, and that cotton ended up in their ears, their eyes, their nose, and most importantly their mouths. Gradually the men's lungs were filling up with cotton, and it led to a disease called byssinosis as they gradually drowned on that cotton. The average life expectancy of a man working with this machine, well, you'd be lucky if you were reaching 30 years old. So these were very dangerous machines to be working with. So we won't put this on, but we'll go into the next room, which is the card room, where we find the next 3 machines. So if you want to make your way down. So we're in the card room now, and this is the carding engine. So cotton is made up of different length fibres, some short, some are long. So this is just like a giant tumble dryer that separates long and short fibres. Big cylinder spinning around in the middle, and it's catching all the long fibres in the middle, and all the short fibres are getting thrown to the top. So they're getting combed off at the top. So as you can see, long fibres getting combed off here, short fibres at the top. Long ones are in a piece called a sliver, and they're being wound into a can. The short ones, which are up here, aren't that great quality. You can see it's not as good quality as what's coming off. But again, don't waste anything. And another word that comes from the cotton mills, this is called shodding, and was used for making shoddy goods. So you make mop heads and dishcloths with it. Anything that's a bit substandard. They even put it in paper money as well. So next time you put a £10 note in the washing machine by accident, it stays intact, all thanks to the shodding. Cotton fibres in paper money. Once all the long fibres have been fed through into a sliver, we've got a bit of a problem with them. It's all tangled and uneven and not great quality. So we take this and whack it onto the back of these machines. Basically, they're just taking the tangles out for us, improving the quality so that we've got a better sliver at the end of the process. So now with this can here, we've got a sliver which is much smoother, no tangles, much better quality. And it's all those long pieces of cotton. Problem is, it's really, really weak, so it falls to pieces very easy. So to make it stronger, we need to add some friction. Just by twisting it, wraps those fibres around each other, and that is what makes it stronger. And that is what we're going to do on the next machine. So if you want to spread yourselves out across there, we'll take a look at the speed frames.
This way it's quite loud.
So these two are speed frames. They're going to have some twist for us. As you can see, we've got cans of cotton on the back that we've just made, fed through to the front of the machine, and basically these just spin, and that adds the twist for us. Once we've done that, we take these, what we've just made, and we pop them onto the back of this machine. We do exactly the same again, feed it through and twist it. So we've gone from Slimer in a can over there to now this. Looks a bit more like thread now. And it's much thinner, much more reduced down, not all because we've added that little bit of twist. We'll get these going, and times the noise. Well, these two should be 3 times bigger because we had to cut them down to fit in this gallery. And there'd be a room with loads of other carded engines and draw frames, maybe 50, 60, 70 others of these. So times the noise by about 100, 150, just depends how big your factory is and how many you can fit of these in. So pretty noisy, and that's why if you worked in the cotton mills, you'd expect to go deaf, because you'd be working with these machines probably 6 days a week, 12 hours a day. Lots of other dangers with the machines as well, no guarding anywhere. They're also a big fire hazard, because cotton gets soaked in oil on these machines, because these machines have got oil on them, and it becomes a fire hazard. So it's important to keep your machine clean. So basically, you just always have to make sure that there's no oil-soaked cotton on your machine. Now you might be working 6 days a week, 12-hour days, but you're paid piecework. So you're not paid hourly, you're paid for how much cotton you produce at the end of your shift. So every time you stop the machine, you stop making cotton, you stop earning money. So you clean the machine whilst it's still moving, getting your hands right in between these flyers to clean out all that cotton and oil which might have gathered on your machine. And this work is at the bottom rung of the ladder, which is why, as soon as you're 5 years old, you're deemed old enough to work with these machines and start cleaning them. So children as young as 5 are cleaning these machines, working long hours, accidents were happening. Some of them were so tired they needed to fall asleep into the machines as they were working on it. Plus, you've got these belts that you have to squeeze past because these machines were much closer together. And even though we've got stitched joints on our belts, that took too long and took too much money, too much time. So their belts would be studded together. And they'd snap, so they'd get studded together again. And they'd snap again, so you stud them together again. So you end up with 100 studs on this belt and 100 studs on that belt. And as you're squeezing by to get past, these studs are quite sharp, and women didn't have their hair tied up. It would get wrapped around these studs and it would scalp them. You could also get your arm caught on that stud and you'd watch your arm go up to the ceiling whilst you stayed on the ground. And we've also got documented evidence in our collection centre downstairs of children getting their clothes caught on these studs, and because they weren't heavy enough to stay on the ground, they were lifted up off the feet and then taken into the working mechanisms of the machine above. So not great if you were working in the cotton industry, even worse if you were a child, and this is probably where you'll be working. Not much call for going to school. What we've ended up with is roving. So it looks a lot more like a thread, but doesn't act much like a thread because it is still pretty weak. So we need to spin and twist it a little bit more. So we do that in a spinning room, but we just need to go around the corner. So can you make your way around?
You look like you're gonna cry.